In studio with me, I am delighted to say, is Marijane Stong. Welcome, Marijane. Thank you for coming.
First time I've done anything like this.
Well, this is wonderful. First time I've done it too, so we're together on this. I thought that maybe we could spend a little bit of time, since we get so many questions, and the questions have already started, talking a little bit about the original dance. There used to be something called the original set pattern dance, and then it changed to the original dance. Do you want to maybe highlight a little bit about how that happened and what it means?
Okay, the original set pattern dance was in a way a bit more like a compulsory dance in that there were no physical elements, there were no lifts, spins, prescribed footwork sequences. It did actually show some individuality of character and style, but I believe the OD came into being more to put dancing in line with singles and pair skating, as well as having a more technical program unto itself, where the skaters could show more individualistic traits, could show off a little bit more their personal talents and personality.
So we've been looking at original dances all day today, and what we know is that each year there is a theme that is selected. So
Right.
in choosing that theme, are there challenges in trying to come up with an original dance?
Oh, absolutely, there are challenges. And one of the biggest challenge would be to try to find very suitable music, but hopefully not music that a lot of people are going to use. And today we found that there were a few pieces that were used a lot, and that would actually be something for a coach and choreographer to try to avoid if possible, just so that it makes it more interesting for the audience.
Well, speaking of interesting, do you know what I thought we might do? And that is take a look at just an example of last year's original dance. Last year's theme was country and folk dances. And if we take a look, we're going to look at Tessa Virtue and Scott Moir, defending world silver medalists. Last year, they skated to a Gypsy Russian-inspired original dance. It's safe to say that basically the elements are the same year to year on paper.
Yes,
they're
on
expressed
paper,
very
but
differently.
that's right. And depending upon the abilities of the actual athletes, I would say that most of the top couples at this level do a level 4, which is the highest level in everything. But then the way they do it, the components side of it, really makes the difference.
So tell me what you like about this original dance. I like that.
I think I like pretty well everything about it. I would say that maybe partly because their coaches are Russian, they were able to get a lot of authentic movement and character in it, and yet it looks very natural for Scott and Tessa.
Yes, it does.
So I think they have an innate ability to be able to handle whatever character is given to them.
We were talking a little bit, well, you and I were sort of exchanging notes here a little bit during some of the original dances that we saw in these earlier groups, and what we were talking about was the whole idea of having to set up a character to really express to the audience and to the judges what we're going to be seeing. Clearly, without the music, you still have a pretty good idea
yes.
what they're doing.
So the very opening pose, even what you do before the music starts, can really set up the character for the people watching.
We've had lots of questions about that very thing, how the skaters take the ice. They're obviously not being judged, but what kind of an impact do you think that has on judges as they're watching skaters?
I don't know if it has so much of an impact on the judges, because the judges are usually at that point getting themselves organized or still making their own personal notes from the couple before. They may not see them actually enter.
Okay.
But I think for all involved, for even the couple themselves, it can help get them in the mood, the way they enter the ice. And I think most of them try to get in character as they're coming onto the ice. I think some of them take it a bit too far.
Okay.
For my taste.
Yes.
That's just my personal opinion.
Now, if we were to flash forward to this year, we would be looking at an entirely different theme, and that is what we've been talking about, which is the 20s, 30s, and 40s. I think we're going to have a chance to take a look at Meryl Davis and Charlie White from the Grand Prix final that took place in Seoul.
Okay, so we've gone from an ethnic style, a rather older style, and now this is, it's actually a 1920s theme, but I feel that they handle it in quite a contemporary way as well.
And that was perfect, the way that they just walked onto the ice. It really did set the stage for this whole flapper mood. Now, what I really appreciate is the fact that the music does not seem to overwhelm the skaters, and that's sometimes a risk that the skaters and the coaches have, is that they fall in love with a piece of music without understanding that the skaters maybe aren't up to the challenge.
No, that's true. But I mean, these are very good skaters. Very good skaters.
Not the case with these guys.
Tessa and Scott, they could pretty well handle anything that is given them. At this level, it's sort of like, you know, from that old baseball movie, you build it, they will come. Like, whatever they're given, they pretty well strive to handle, because they want to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing with this couple, well, not interesting, but the good thing is that they have an absolutely fantastic work ethic. They work very, very diligently, and all of their technical elements are done very, very, very well.
Now, what purpose do you think that does the original dance serve in terms of skating?
Well, it gives the judges the opportunity to compare skaters element for element, because all of the elements in the OD are prescribed. So they must all do basically the same element, but they can do it in their own style and with their own ability. So it's a bit of an in-between from the compulsory to the free dance. It's still a bit restricted, but certainly not as much as the compulsory dance, where everyone does exactly the same step. And this, again, enables the audience to feel the personal expression and style of the individual.
Now, we had a great question come in from Penny Marshall, who wanted to know about costume deductions.
Well, the costume deductions are laid out. In this particular event, I would think we would have very few. A lot of the costume deductions come when things are, that was very good.
It was wonderful.
When things are, for instance, the men's necklines are way too low, when they show body hair, when the girls' outfits seem to be just a little bit cut too high,
right,
or a lot of nudity, for instance, would be a costume deduction. Or maybe costumes where you get a deduction if part of your costume falls off, for instance.
Yes. Now, this is Tanith Belbin and Benjamin Agosto,
right,
from the United States. This was their original dance from the Grand Prix final.
Right. Already, I mean, you feel the character of what they're doing just by what they look like before they even move. They seem to be very into it. It seems to make them probably the best they can be.
I like the beret.
Attention to detail.
Yes.
No plume for you today, PJ, but the beret is fabulous. I love her bobby socks.
Me too.
It's great.
So this really is an opportunity in the original dance for skaters to showcase a bit of their personality.
Yes.
It's serious business, but
very serious business, especially these step sequences. The step sequences and the twizzles often seem to make the difference in the better marks, because as I said, in the spins and in the lifts, most people these days have very difficult ones.
Yes. Well, actually, on the subject of twizzles, Yvonne and Kevin Wolf just were wondering about the difference between twizzles and traveling through turns.
Okay, well, a traveling three turn will often have a change of the knee bend level, and the distance between the turns will be much greater. There might be a little bounce to the turn. On a twizzle, once you start the rotation, you basically stay on the same level of knee, and the momentum just carries you across the ice, so the turns are much smaller.
I had it also described to me from John Lane that in a twizzle, you don't want to really see any movement of the upper body to sort of create the turn. But once it starts, it just needs to go.
That's right, it's just momentum. And also, John Lane says it's very interesting. I watched him once. That there's a little bit of counter rotation before it starts, and then you just let it go.
Okay. Now you're wearing a very interesting set of amber beads today.
I am.
How would you like to tell our audience about that?
Well, a few years ago, I was team leading at an event where both Vanessa and Paul and Tessa and Scott were competing. And as a little gift for their team leader, they went out with some moms, I think, and they bought me these beautiful little amber beads. And ever since then, every time either couple has competed, wherever, even if it's in the middle of the night, I have to wear my beads for good luck. So
that's wonderful. I think
it works for me. I don't know if it works for them, but it works for me.
I think it's working okay for them. Do you know what? It's interesting. What people sometimes don't realize is that these are our kids, and that your connection to skating is very personal, and that your relationships go way back. I'm not even going to tell our audience how long we've known each other, but it goes a long time.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mary Jane. You're going to be back a little bit later to talk more with us, I hope. In the meantime, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and then it's Group 3.